There may be more than one God.
Welcome to Soul Guide with Vondie Lozano, a show about past lives, life between lives, and this life.
Hey everybody, I'm Vondie, and today we're having our monthly Q&A, and we got some really interesting questions that I'm looking forward to sharing with you. And if you have any questions or comments or anything you want to add, I'm really looking forward to hearing from you because some of these are mm, a little more than I think I have the answers to. So we'll maybe find the answers together. All right, so let me go ahead and pull up my slides. And again, if you're listening, you can find these on my website, lifebetweenlives.com/soul guide. And you can also find them on YouTube and Facebook, of course. Okay, so the first question that was asked, it was actually a series of questions by somebody on YouTube, and then we had some questions from Facebook. So they were asking, what is wholeness? So, from a life between lives perspective, is it joining with our own soul in the spirit world? And so I thought that's a really interesting question. And I don't know that I have answers so much as some thoughts, what I've read, what I've learned from doing these sessions. But we only bring a portion of our energy into this life, 30, 40%. Sometimes people bring more, 70%, 80, 90, but we leave a part of our energy behind. So that's the part we reunite with when we cross over. But we also can be in other places. It's not just like we're half there and half here. We can be on other planets. We can be in other dimensions. We can be doing all kinds of other things other than just being here on Earth or just being in our soul group. So we can be in multiple places with different parts of our energy. And so my only, I guess, real thoughts on this were wholeness is connecting with the oneness. And that's what I've heard people say is that sense of they're one with source, with the other spirit souls on the other side. So perhaps that's wholeness. But like I said, we are all bringing bits and pieces of our energy. And some people, this is a whole nother story, a whole nother thought to share another time, maybe, is we can even be in multiple lives on earth simultaneously. So sometimes we divide our energy in many different ways. So I guess wholeness is mostly when we're connected with the oneness, with source and the other souls on the other side. And it's sort of all the same thing to the best of my understanding. Okay. Along those same lines, they said, is it joining with the one who created us? So there is often a divine energy. So we go to the wise souls, the council, but we ask, is there a greater divine energy or a place where we could find more wisdom? And very often there is this greater divine energy. Some people call it God, some people call it Jesus or Yeshua. I think that was the name for Jesus during the time of Jesus. And so sometimes there is that divinity, and when people connect with it or experience it, it's very powerful. But I also remember reading in, and I think it was in the Newton books, but I'm not exactly sure. But I think I remember reading that some people said in their sessions that we return to source, that maybe at the end of all of these incarnations and our advanced beings and doing all we need to do, that we return back to the creator and sort of merge there. So that is one thought. But again, I sometimes hear different things from different people. So again, if you have any thoughts, I would love to hear them. And the people who are asking these questions, I think you're more philosophical than I am. So again, these are just some thoughts, but I would love to hear your perspective as well. Okay. And they said this was really interesting. Is wholeness joining with the other one far away who created the one who created us? So a God who created our God. And I thought that is really interesting. And there may be something that created God. And I have read and heard that there may be many gods. So it may not just be our source, there may be multiple sources. And is there something greater than them that created them? I don't know, but I would love to hear your thoughts. And then, how do we achieve oneness? And are there other possible ways besides incarnating countless lives on earth? And so this I did have a little bit of reflection on, which is we don't incarnate to join with source. So it's not like we're earning it. We incarnate to advance our soul's development, but by doing that, we bring back our learning to source to enhance source. And this is often hard for us to understand in our Western civilization. And kind of most of us have sort of that Judeo Christian upbringing that we can enhance God or source, that we have something to learn here. I guess there's the understanding that it's not perfect, that it's evolving, for lack of a better word, growing. It can be enhanced. The oneness can be enhanced, and the one source can be enhanced by what we learn and experience here. So that's kind of an interesting perspective. And then what happens when we achieve oneness? This again, this I have a little more experience with the sessions. Do we keep our individuality as a soul or do we melt into source? So we very much have individuality as soul. So this was the thing that was the most interesting to me about the other side, which is when I did these sessions, that we're not just some big, we don't just all sort of melt into each other. We have personalities as souls. And we even retain certain personality characteristics from life to life. So we choose a body that's specific with a specific personality. But one of the questions we do ask is, what characteristics do you carry from life to life? And it might be something as simple as a thread of compassion or something like that. And then I am seeing some questions. So great. We are all pieces of source. We therefore return from whence we came. Source does not need to be enhanced. Source needed to experience duality. So I think it's Enos. So thank you for sharing your perspective. I have heard that perspective, but it's weird. When I've asked people, are you part of whatever it is they're encountering, these galaxy of other souls? They always say, or excuse me, are you one of these? And they say, we're not one of, we're part of, and it is a whole. And we are created. Remember in Molly's session, she saw the souls being created from like the wall of light. But there is a sense that we come here to learn, to bring that learning back to enhance source. And I do remember reading that in one of the Newton books, that someone had come to bring back compassion. And just there are things we learn here that we are bringing back. And I think on the planet she incarnated in, they didn't have compassion, or they didn't have feelings like we know feelings. So we are contributing to the oneness on the other side, and even to the one who created us. That's my understanding from the life between lives perspective. And in our life between lives, now these are the questions I don't have answers to. I just have thoughts. Is there any evidence of a multiverse? I actually had to look up what is a multiverse, and it just said that that there are many universes. So I know there are other galaxies and beings and aliens from other galaxies and places. And these beings and galaxies don't fit within our frame of reference. Like they can move around, they can communicate with their thoughts, they can move with their thoughts, kind of like on Star Trek, they can teleport, but there's not even a teleporter machine. They can just want to be over there and they're over there. I hear that regularly in sessions. So is that a different universe? Perhaps. And are any of these things actually physical locations? I don't know. Which brings me to my next question. Is there evidence of an alternate timeline? And so I haven't heard a lot of people talking about alternate timelines, but I have heard people talking about alternate dimensions that overlay our like Earth dimension. And so they are on our timeline, but there's like a whole other layer happening simultaneously. And I have heard that in more than one case. So I don't know about alternative timelines, but there are simultaneous timelines in different dimensions. And I've had people go to different dimensions on more than one occasion. And one again was overlaid on Earth, and they allowed me to share it as research with the Newton Institute. So I can share a little bit about it here. but they were a healer who kind of went from village to village, sort of straightening out the energy of the villages and straightening out, I don't know how to say it. I guess the vibration, but things were sort of off, and there were even like corners of the dimension that overlapped with different parts of our world. So it wasn't like 100% overlapping. It overlapped in places, and they were, their job as like a healer person in that time was to go to these various places, physical locations, and fix this dimension that was kind of out of whack, for lack of a better word. There wasn't in alignment. So I have heard of other dimensions. I haven't specifically heard of alternative timelines, but I'm not sure if that's exactly what this person was referring to. And then let me look. Let's see. And then Enos, thank you again for your comment. Personality implies person. Person is human. Yes, we are souls, not humans. Correct. But we don't ask. So yes, but we do have unique personalities as souls. I will say that. So if I'm using the wrong word to describe it, but we have unique characteristics as souls, if that fits better. And we do carry certain characteristics from life to life. Okay. And then the last thing they asked is, is there any evidence of parallel universes in the life between lives? And so again, I do have experience with sessions where there are. And if you remember Brian Smith, or if you haven't watched, he was one of the first episodes we did, the first interview episodes. And in his soul group, he didn't see, well, he saw some of his soul family, but he also saw, and this is the part that is mind blowing, his past life selves there in his soul group. Like picture them sitting in a circle. And he said his past life selves were there as well, because all the past lives are happening now. So time is not linear. It's all happening now. And, in Life Between Lives, we hear a lot about all time is now time. So that's why we can go to your time between your last life and this life, but still ask questions about this life, because there is no time. All time is now time. So in Brian Smith's session, his past life selves were all happening at the same time, which is almost too much for my brain to really understand. But I share that with you if that's helpful in any way. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, so I'm not seeing any other questions, but so I do appreciate your comments. And but I wanted to say is Pete Smith used to be the head of the Newton Institute. We're now run by a volunteer board, but he was I can't remember the exact word but he was our leader for about 10 years. And he is now in charge of the Newton Legacy, but he has his own quantum consciousness. He's written about it. He has a website. He's on Facebook. So I'm going to tag Peter Smith in this when we're all done on Facebook and on YouTube. And you can check out his work, because he has kind of delved into the physics of this, the alternative realities, the alternative dimensions, the parallel lives. I heard him speak once on a podcast, and he was sharing about how there's the path we chose and the path we didn't choose. And maybe the path we didn't choose is the person who didn't have a family, and that spirit or part of us needs healing as much as the path that we did choose. And again, this is the part where my brain kind of goes a little bit on, on tilt. But for those of you who are more philosophically oriented, who are very interested in these sorts of understandings and ideas, I think Pete would be a really great resource. So I am going to tag him. He is affiliated with the Newton Institute, but he has kind of developed the Quantum Consciousness Institute. And so you may find some more answers certainly beyond what I could share today, that might be helpful to you. So thank you very much for watching. I have a few little announcements, but I'm not seeing any other questions. So let me switch over to our retreat. I found out the venue is letting us give a few more days for people to sign up. Some of this information is mind-boggling, David Ortiz. I know, it's kind of too big for my brain. I will share that. But these were the questions that came in, and so I was excited to hear them. They were really interesting. So this is where, if you have any ideas or other opinions or comments, please share them, because I would love to see your ideas and what you think, for those of you who ponder these sorts of things. So the retreat venue in Malibu, Sarah Retreat Center, is allowing us to fit in a few more people, which is really lovely. Our final count was due this week, but they gave us another few days. So if you're interested, I put it in the comments already, lifebetweenliveshypnosis.com retreat. And you can find more information there, lifebetweenliveshypnosis.com /retreat. And we also have a 25% off flash sale going on using the promo code LAST CALL. And I'll put that in the comments too. And thank you to my husband, Henry. Leticia couldn't be with us here at the last minute, so that's why we'll add some of this at the end. But I appreciate it, babe, helping me out on your lunch hour on very short notice. So we'd love to have you join us. We're really excited about the retreat. And we also are going to be probably having a day retreat coming up in January to start the new year out together. So that's it for today. I love your questions. Please keep them coming. Some of you think about things that my brain has a hard time understanding, but I love your thoughts. I love your questions. And this is where we get to learn from each other. So thank you. Look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you, David. David is saying thank you, Henry. All right. Lots of love. See you soon.
Thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and follow. And join us next week for another episode of Soul Guide.